Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio today. And in this video, I want to talk about the Viltrox EF-R3 adapter. Now, this is a 0.71 focal reducer, and similar to the Canon focal reducer that is used on the C70, but this is about half the price of that focal reducer. And I'm actually going to show you why I've got it for the R5 and the EOS R and what I'm using it for in those two cameras. And actually, it is really compelling once you see what it can do for you if you're a 4K shooter on the R5, and the EOS R, obviously we know, has a crop factor. So let's get into this video and I can take you through why I think this is a bit of a game changer and really worth the money. Now, full disclosure on this is Viltrox did provide me with this. So they sent it to me free of charge, but they're not paying me for this video, and this is my own opinion and what I've found using the focal reducer for the last few shoots that I've had. So why don't we jump right into this video? Well, first up is the build quality, and this, it looks like a focal reducer. It's all really well made and manufactured. It looks, identical to sort of the Canon EF to RF adapter that I have. Obviously, it's got a bit of glass in the middle of it to take you to that 1.71 factor. So in terms of the build, it really is a great quality product. It's got like this little tripod mount on the bottom where you can mount it to, the tripod if you've got a longer lens hanging off this, so it doesn't provide strain. But I haven't used this, I haven't needed to use it, so I could probably remove it as well. Also in the box, just comes with a couple of items, nothing much in particular else in here. Yeah, warranty card as well. So just that one there, so you can contact Viltrox if you need to around the warranty and fill that out. And then also comes with an Allen key, so you can actually remove this by using the Allen key if you want to, but I've left it on there. It doesn't pose a problem. I think actually on the C70 it might pose a problem. You might need to remove it on the C70 to get this to go onto the C70, but on the EOS R5 it's fine. So yeah, that's kind of what comes in the package, and nicely packaged as well, which is great. So why then would I want it for a full frame R5? Now, the reason why is because I do some long form interviews. And when I shoot those long form interviews, I'm actually using the cropped 4K because the cropped 4K looks really, really decent. The regular 4K on the R5, where it's not in 4K fine, is actually like a line skipped or pixel binned 4K, and it doesn't really look much better than upscaled 1080p, to be really fair. It's not a very good codec, doesn't look very clean. So I always use the cropped 4K, which means I can record for an unlimited amount of time, but it's still giving me a really nice looking 4K. I think it's a downsampled 5K or 5.1 or 5.2K or something like that, downscaled to 4K. And it crops in on the sensor, but it looks really, really decent. But what happens when I use that is I lose a few stops of light with the lenses that I use. And I like to shoot, this kind of shot now is at 1.4. So I like to shoot a really compressed depth of field. And so when I shoot in 4K, now I'm shooting in 4K fine on the EOS R5, but when I shoot in 4K crop mode to do a long form interview so that the camera doesn't overheat, I lose a little bit of that high compressed look. And so the focal reducer, not only that, is obviously also you crop in on every lens. So, if you've got a 24mm, which I'm shooting on right now, full frame, as soon as you crop that in 1.6, you're going up to what, a 35mm equivalent around about. I think it's that. Let me just 24mm times by 1.6 crop, actually 38mm. So I like the focal look of a 24mm lens, and I don't necessarily want to be using like a 17mm lens and then cropping that in, because again, that lens is going to distort and look differently. So I want to actually get the most out of the lens that I can. So adding a focal reducer, what that does is it takes the lens from 38.4mm, then you actually are going to take that by 0.71. It's going to bring you back down to about 27mm equivalent. And not only that, it's going to bring back your stops that you're losing by cropping in. So the bokeh, the depth of field that you're losing by cropping in that little bit, you're going to gain that back as well, and gain back around about a stop of light. So essentially, you then get back very close to that 24mm focal length or the full frame look of the R5 without needing to sacrifice that crop. And that's kind of why I think this really is a decent addition to the R5. So let's put it onto the camera anyway, and I'll show you some shots that I've taken with this. And what you're looking at now is a shot of the camera in the full frame mode, fine, and we're just gonna shoot normally. And now we're gonna crop in on this, and this is all on the 24mm lens. So we're cropping in now on the 24mm lens, and I'm showing you now what that looks like. And now we're gonna pop the focal reducer on. So before we do that, we'll go back to just the full 4K, full frame. And now we're gonna put the focal reducer on, and I'm gonna show you what that does to the image. So this is now the image with the focal reducer on, and we're in that 4K crop mode again. So that's kind of what this does. It gives you that little bit of extra width out of every lens when you're in the cropped mode on the Canon R5. Now this also works for the Canon EOS R, and the Canon EOS R, as we know, doesn't have a 4K full frame. So this is actually a perfect addition. For a few $100s, this is the thing that I've been missing on my EOS R for, as long as I've had the camera. And I never upgraded to the Canon one because by that stage I was across on the EOS R5. So I always had full frame and then the option to crop in if I was doing a longer interview. But had I had this back in the day available for my EOS R, it really would have been a game changer because I would have maintained the look of the lenses, the highlight roll off. What happens when you get to the edge of a lens as well on a full frame is different to when you're cropped into the center of that lens. So things like you lose a little bit of sharpness toward the edge of a lens, which can be pleasing in some different scenarios. Also, you get a vignette sometimes with a lens on a full frame camera. And because you're cropping into the middle of the sensor, you're losing that as well. So yeah, having the focal reducer to just give you back some of the things you've lost is awesome. And let's have a look as well. When you put this on the EOS R and the R5, it's cool because it actually has the sensors that go with it, and it autofocuses just the same as it would without. I've tested that. It works just exactly the same. Now, I haven't tried it in 1,000 different scenarios, but the scenarios that I've used it in, it seems to be really, really good, and it focuses fine and has no issues. So it's literally just a piece of glass that it, refracts through, and the information goes from the camera to the lens via the adapter, and that all works. And this has also got a USB connector right in the corner here. Not sure if you can see that, if it's going to focus for me, but right in the corner there, where my finger is, it has a USB, so you can put a USB in there to upgrade the firmware. So I'm sure when new lenses come out that Viltrox will be updating the firmware for this, which is a really good feature as well. But again, I don't know that because I've only just got this, and so it's running firmware that is working with the R5 and the EOS R. So maybe I should show you as well what this looks like to vlog with on the EOS R. So this is my vlogging setup on the EOS R with the focal reducer. And actually this is a 24mm lens, so we're at about 27mm equivalent now. And I've got the lens stopped down to F1.4, but actually on the camera it says F1. So I'm not really sure why it tells you that you've got that extra stop of light or how that even works, but it's telling me I'm at F1. And so that probably means there's more compression in this image than anything else. So I'll just walk around a little bit to show you. This has got no image stabilization because this lens got no IS, but this is kind of what it does. And a little bit overexposed now out here, but I can probably reduce down or just pull up my f-stop. Let's go up to F2. So this is F2. So this is in my living area here, so at F2. And so you can see this looks fantastic. This really is good. I'm just holding the lens and holding the camera out. And I might just get my camera actually to show you what I'm doing. I'll get my phone to show you the setup. And you can see for yourself, I'm just walking now back down my corridor. I'm just going back to just changing that to F1 again. So now we're at F1. But I'll just grab my phone quickly so I can just record for you what the setup looks like so you can see and see the detail and stuff like that. So let me just quickly switch this around and I'll go to video here. And sweet, so yeah, just recording there. So if you look there, it's F1, but this lens is only the 24mm f4 or f1.4, sorry, I should say. So yeah, that's kind of cool. That's the setup with the focal reducer. And I'll just quickly again change the f-stop. I'm gonna bump up to just f2. F2.2, there we go, F2.2. And that is the lens on the camera for vlogging on the EOS R and getting your 4K, not super cropped with a really good lens. I think it's a game changer. So let's jump back to the video. So hopefully this video has given you some ideas about why this is good, and just because it saves you a few $100s off the price of the Canon product, and you know, I'm showing you that it works really well on the EOS R and the R5. So thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want to pick one of these up, there's a link in the description below. And as an affiliate, I do earn commissions on that, but it doesn't cost you anything else. And if you use the code DROWLY, you'll even get a further 10% off this product from Viltrox directly. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.